How about wearing your favorite dessert or sweet treat? That's the theme of today's video. I've got 20 fragrances that smell like sweet treats or desserts. Gourmands. If you're curious to learn about these, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. Yes, I enjoy sweet treats and desserts. I'm addicted. I'm hooked. I like it with coffee. My favorite way to relax and unwind, have something sweet to eat, and drink a little coffee to wake me up. Let me know if you are a fan of this as well, and let me know if you like gourmands and if you have a favorite gourmand that smells like a dessert or sweet treat that you enjoy as well. So I've got 20 fragrances and 20 different desserts or sweet treats here. Each fragrance smells like a sweet treat or dessert for me, and I'm going to go ahead and start with the first one, which is NOTA Sugar from the house of ULYKA. And to me, this smells like pineapple upside down cake. I really love this dessert. It's one of my favorites. And in fact, pineapple happens to be one of my favorite fruits. I love pineapples. So NOTA Sugar has notes of caramel, pineapple, vanilla, coconut, raspberry, almond praline, tonka, heliotrope, and musk. So basically, it's giving me that pineapple upside down vibe. It's quite delicious. And you know, I've made pineapple upside down cake myself several times, and this to me, when you turn it upside down, you've got that kind of sugar all caramelized, and it's what kind of gives me the smell of. It's buttery, it's for sure fruity with the pineapple, and then of course vanillic as well. So delicious. So that is NOTA Sugar from the house of ULYKA Parfum. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. Then going to the house of Zoologist Perfumes, it's Rabbit. Basically, this is giving me the carrot cake vibe. And that's another kind of cake I've made. In fact, I've made more carrot cakes than pineapple upside down cakes. I used to cook and bake a lot. I don't do it as much anymore. And carrot cake is one of my favorite desserts to eat. This has notes of biscuit, accord, vanilla, carrots, cinnamon, green vegetable leaves, white almonds, hay, musks, patchouli, apple, and bergamot. And to me, it's inspired by the rabbit, and the rabbits love carrots, and it's a carrot cake focused fragrance. Smells like a carrot cake, man. Oh man, it's good. So delicious. This is really edible smelling. Really one of a kind gourmand fragrance. Really, I think it's become a favorite fragrance of mine from this house, but it hasn't beat out bee yet. But it's come really close. So Rabbit from the house of Zoologist Perfumes. Let me know if you're a fan of that one. Then going to the house of MANCERA, it's AMORE Cafe, this one right here. Another sweet treat that I enjoy, and this time with coffee, it's basically an affogato, which is basically 2 shots of espresso dripped or, poured over 2 scoops of ice cream. Sometimes it has a cookie on top, sometimes not. It's just the ice cream and the coffee together. Fantastic, dessert, and also fantastic fragrance here. Vanilla ice cream, black coffee, vanilla, amaretto liqueur. Really delicious take on a affogato. For sure, it reminds me of an affogato because you've got the vanilla creamy touches and then also the coffee in there as well. When you first spray it, it's a lot of coffee, and then it eventually kind of mixes with the vanillic touches. And then a little bit almondy booziness as well with the amaretto. So good. Really great fragrance. They've been doing some really great fragrances over at MANCERA. Although I'm not sure about the new fragrance that they're launching called Cherry Cherry. But let's move on to the next fragrance. Going to the house of XERJOFF. It's SYMPHONIUM. This one right here. This to me is basically chocolate covered oranges. That's what it reminds me of. That's what I wear. Basically, it has notes of Spanish Mandarin, Belgian chocolate, vanilla, Laotian oud, and Thai oud. Now, the Thai oud and the Laotian oud are not so prominent. For me, it's all about the chocolate. It's kind of a melted, kind of creamy chocolate. You buy those candies. They're like candy, but they're like almost like caramelized or crystallized oranges, and they have dipped in chocolates. That's basically the experience I get with this one. For me, I prefer the fragrance over that sweet treat. It's not one of my favorites, but it reminds me of it. Lots of yummy oranges. It's very bright and sweet, a little tart, but chocolate all over that, orangey touch there. So that's SYMPHONIUM from the house of XERJOFF. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. Up next, going to the house of MONTALE, it is Vanilla Cake. And it's basically literally that. It's a vanilla cake and it acts like it. It's creamy, it's powdery, a bit almondy, and really great gourmand from the house of MONTALE. MONTALE makes some good gourmands, and this is one of the best. It features notes of vanilla, meringue, almond powder, buttercream, milky mousse, caramel, yogurt cake. Let me know if you've sampled this one. Really yummy, for sure. It's very MONTALE-esque. I also feel like there's a bit of oud in this when I wear it. But it's so sweet and sugary and caramelly. Very strong fragrance. Very, very gourmand. Lovely stuff. This is vanilla cake from the house of MONTALE. Let me know if you're familiar with that. So next, go into the house of KEROSENE with Unknown Pleasures. This one right here. This to me is basically like a lemon chiffon cake. Really delicious in that way. It's very fluffy and airy, but lots of lemons in here. And it's not overly tart. It's a bit sweet tart, which I like. There's tea here, Earl Grey tea, bergamot, honey, tonka beans, caramel, vanilla, waffle cone. One of the best gourmands out there, and I've been a fan for so long, guys. Really, really yummy. KEROSENE's Unknown Pleasures, I think, is still my favorite fragrance from this house. But he is cranking out some really great fragrances as of late. The lemons is, I mean, it just smells like a real dessert. Just a real dessert. What a lovely fragrance this is. And again, the lemons are not overly strong. They're not that tart kind. It's nice. It's mixed in with sugar. You know, I baked before, obviously. And when you mix it with the sugar and also the flour, it kind of like loses its acidity. And it's the perfect balance here. Really yummy. Unknown Pleasures from the house of KEROSENE. Next, go into the house of MANOS GERAKINIS. This is IMMORTELLE. This one right here. Basically, this is cookie butter for me. If you've ever had speculoos or any cookie butter without the brand speculoos, that's what you kind of get with this one. It's an IMMORTELLE overdose. Lots of IMMORTELLE here. There's also cinnamon here, amber, woods, and a bit of milky, sugary notes as well. But in the end, everything combined together creates for a cookie butter or speculoos cookie kind of experience. So delicious. This is one of the best from this house, and I think if you haven't tried it, please do, especially if you're a fan of gourmands, you know, sugary, buttery, milky, toffee, all of these, you know, kind of experience, caramelly come to mind, because the IMMORTELLE note in this creates that kind of caramelized brown sugary effect, toffee a little bit, and you get that here so well. Yum. Dessert. It is a bit cinnamony for sure, so it gives you that kind of a warm holiday vibe too. IMMORTELLE, definitely one of the best gourmands. Let me know if you're familiar with it and if you've sampled it. What do you think? So next up, going to the house of XERJOFF once again. We're going to the CASAMORATI collection. This is ITALICA. This one right here. So this one to me is an almond toffee experience with some fruits thrown in, like dried fruits maybe. Toffee is a favorite dessert of mine. I don't have it because it's a bit too hard to crunch on, not good for the teeth, but I love the flavor though, and I like it in the perfume for sure. Definitely just captures the almond toffee experience, but there's definitely a slight fruitiness thrown in. The berry fruitiness, that's the color it basically get when I smell the fruit in this. But it's saffron, almonds, milky notes, bourbon, vanilla, toffee, sandalwood, white musks. Have you tried this one? Are you familiar with it? Do you like the smell? Yum. It's sticky, gooey, but a little dense and doughy, and cookied and hard candy all combined and like crunchy. And then of course the fruits comes in. Really yummy there. Delicious. Let me know if you're familiar with that. But moving on to a very polarizing fragrance. Vanilla Sex from Tom Ford. This to me gives me almond nougat vibes. It's really delicious, but I don't understand. Some people just do not like this. So I think people get some muskiness in here and then it turns it into a different kind of smell. There's definitely a musk in here, but for me, it's absolutely an almond nougat vibe. Vanilla Absolute, vanilla tincture, ultra vanilla, bitter almonds, sandalwood, tonka, floral notes. Yeah, I love this one. Really love it, and I feel like the new fragrance from Maison Margiela, the Afternoon Delight, is going to be as polarizing as this. What do you guys think? Are you a fan of that one? And why do you not like this one? I love it. Really yummy. And there's a lot of bitterness here from the bitter almonds, and I feel like there's a bitterness from the tonka as well. I've actually tasted tonka. It tastes like really extremely bitter almonds, or the pits of like a stone fruit. you got that experience here, but it's delicious. Really yummy. It reminds me of almond nougat. That's Vanilla Sex from the house of Tom Ford. Let me know why you like it. Let me know why you don't like it. Next, going to the house of Kais Perfumes. This is Oui Plus. Is that how you say it? Plus? Oui Plus? It's French, so this to me smells like s'mores. In fact, the idea is s'mores. As you can see on the label there, it's s'mores basically. Are you guys fans of s'mores? It's graham cracker, marshmallows, cocoa absolute, Peru balsam, patchouli, styrax, and burnt coffee. The burnt coffee is real, and also it has a little bit of a savory smell. I almost feel like the graham cracker is a bit more like regular salted crackers experience. I get the saltiness in here. Almost reminds me of chips a little bit. But then all the sweetness comes in. The creamy marshmallowy touches, the cocoa, and of course we've got balsamic ambery touches in the dry down, and the burnt coffee all rolled into one. So good, so good. This is like s'mores on a campfire, basically. Let me know your thoughts on Oui Plus from the house of Kais Perfumes. And then going to the house of Guerlain, it's Fève Gourmande, this one right here. This is a really delicious fragrance, guys. I just wish it was a bit more beastlier. For me, it's a bit subdued. I don't know why I get subdued qualities with that one. But to me, this reminds me of a boozy, decadent chocolates you buy at a very high-end chocolate store. Little chocolates that you put in your mouth. They're a little boozy because there's a booziness here. So yummy. This has notes of cocoa, chocolate, rum, spices, woods, patchouli, smoky tea, and rose. Let me know if you're familiar with this one. Do you also get the subdued qualities of this? Next to the tobacco honey, this is a wimp. Smells great though, don't get me wrong. I love the way it smells, and it really does remind me of decadent dessert, decadent chocolates with a booziness. So good, so good. Glad they brought it back. It's called Fève Gourmande. I don't get the name though, but anyway, we'll just have to deal with that. But the next fragrance I'm talking about is from the house of Adamo Parfum. This is Juanillo. So this is a dessert or sweet treat inspired. For me, it reminds me of dates stuffed with nuts, in this case pistachios, and there's drizzled with like shavings of coconut. So it's coconuts, date accord, pistachio, lemons, pralines, musk, ambroxan, oranges, and mandarin. It's a gourmand that's not overly sweet gourmand, so there's a subtlety about it, but to me that's what it reminds me of. I love dates, and I love them stuffed with, you know, almonds. Here we get a pistachio touch for sure. And of course the dates that come in, and then of course the coconuts. It's drizzled with like coconuts and some light chocolatey touches from pralines as well. So good. Again, it's not an uber sweet gourmand, so if you don't like sweet gourmands, definitely try this one, Juanillo, from the house of Adamo Parfum. Then going to the house of Giardini di Toscana, this is Bianco Latte for a vanilla ice cream experience. For me, one of my favorite ice creams is just basically vanilla. I love the flavor of vanilla. I'm a big vanilla lover. That's maybe why I love vanilla fragrances as well. And to me, this acts like vanilla ice cream. Just simple vanilla ice cream. Really yummy. I love it. Sweet, milky. So this has notes of caramel, vanilla, coumarin, which is basically tonka beans, and white musks. It's a very popular fragrance. People seem to love this one. And I love it for the, I guess, the somewhat reminder of the vanilla ice cream taste. Do you guys get that as well? Let me know. For me, it's more like French vanilla. There's you know, in the freezer you'll see French vanilla, and then also just regular vanilla. I usually get French vanilla because it's a bit more smoother, and that's what I get here. Perhaps there's a little bit light touch of a coconutty thing in there as well. Nutty, kind of, because it's the tonka. But so good. Really yummy fragrance here. Bianco Latte from the house of Giardini di Toscana. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. So up next, going to the house of Storadora, it's Gianni, this one right here. This gives me tarte tatin, or American version, apple pie touches. And it's sweet and, you know, caramelly with a lot of apples in here. Just totally gives me the apple pie vibe. If you like the idea of apple pie in a fragrance, definitely check this one out because that's what it is. It's baked apples, puff pastry, caramel, almonds, vanilla, nutty notes, white musk, osmanthus, apricots, plums, and peaches. So fruity, so nutty, so doughy, so delicious. Let me know if you've tried this. Maybe it's a bit too sweet for some people. Let me know. Put a comment down below. apples and stone fruit galore here. So delicious. Really a wonderful offering. We featured that in Scent Club Kit number 10. When we were bottling those, the whole studio smelled of Janny like for days and days and days. But moving on to the House of Milano Fragranza, this is Panettone. Basically the idea of panettone. Let me know if you're a fan of this fragrance or the Sweet Treat. This is featuring notes of bitter orange, vanilla, ginger, rum, everlasting flower or immortelle, mandarin orange, carrot seeds, d'Havana, and tagette, which are basically marigold. This reminds me of a not uber sweet gourmand, but kind of cakey, bready, doughy, with the addition of some of the notes that, or the ingredients that go into that kind of a sweet treat, and you've got all those things coming in there. So it's a bit fruity, it's a bit boozy, and for sure vanillic and citrusy as well. I think once again, if you're not into super sweet gourmands, this is probably something you would like. It's also quite powdery, but the dough idea is here. And it totally reminds me of the panettone for sure. I kind of like panettone and sometimes not. The whole bad experience, some people don't like fruitcake. I mean, I love it myself, but sometimes I'm not the biggest fan. But here, when I smell this, it smells just like a panettone, like you've just sliced it into and you're chewing on it or eating it or something. But moving on to the House of Pantheon, this is Dolce Passione. This reminds me of chocolate-covered strawberries. Really yummy. I do enjoy those quite a bit, and they taste great. It's a nice fruity dessert. In fact, somewhat healthy, I guess. But this has notes of dark chocolate, white truffles, hazelnuts, honey, vanilla, strawberries, plums, cocoa, tonka beans, white musk, and cherries. So I feel like you get a little bit of the touches of the cherries and the plums as well, but for me, the strawberries are more prominent. And for me, it just reminds me of chocolates dipped in, strawberries dipped in chocolate. And the idea is perfectly there. It's fruity and chocolatey, creamy as well, with sweetness of vanilla and things like that. Maybe there's a little bit of a reminder of Fève Gourmand, but fruity and chocolatey. This is Dolce Passione from the House of Pantheon Roma. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Then, going to the House of Imaginary Authors, we've got a whiff of waffle cone. So this to me is vanilla ice cream in a waffle cone with some spices thrown in as well. Really a wonderful offering from this house and a great gourmand that the Imaginary House has created. Basically featuring notes of vanilla, salted caramel, Saigon cinnamon, heavy cream, sandalwood, orgeat, and scoop shop. This was originally made for Salt and Straw, the ice cream chain. Are you guys familiar with that place? I've never been to one, unfortunately, but really love this fragrance. It's a great gourmand from the House of Imaginary Authors. I think he did a really wonderful job with this. You definitely experience the waffle cone. It's got that kind of burnt, kind of a doughy experience, but also the caramel, also a bit burnt. Salted. Really delicious offering. Let me know if you're familiar with the whiff of waffle cone from the House of Imaginary Authors. Then we're going to the House of Chabot. This is Lait et Chocolat. This to me reminds me of Nutella, another sweet treat, and I love spreading it on bread and eating it. I don't know why. Reminds me of my days of when I was young and doing that. But sometimes I just like that kind of comforting experience, and it's a nice guilty pleasure once in a while to have something sweet like that in bread, which is something I don't quite do. Spread on top of waffles is even better, or maybe crepes. But this is jasmine, musk, chocolate, cedar, teakwood, vanilla, and milk chocolate. So we've got two kinds of chocolate, but a very chocolate overdose, very creamy, smooth, slightly nutty and musky. There's a slight nuttiness, but not overdosed. The milk chocolatey creaminess is there. So delicious. I would say this is more not necessarily Nutella with a lot of hazelnuts. It's very creamy for sure, but not like overdosed with the hazelnuts that's typically found in the Nutella. Then moving on to the House of Keali, it's Vanilla Candy Rock Sugar 42. This to me just are like sweet hard candies, like you would drop and suck on in your mouth. Kind of a fruity, kind of hard candies and things like that. First, when you put it in your mouth, It's a bit powdery until you start sucking on it, and then, you know, it starts getting juicy because there's like fruitiness in there or something. But it's very sweet and hard candy. That's what this reminds me of. But the notes are sugar, vanilla, bubblegum, pears, jelly beans, marshmallow, cashmere wood, caramel, rum, tonka, vetiver, and jasmine. For some reason, the KLE fragrances have a ton of notes listed. But on the back, it's the keynotes: candied pear, sweet violet, bubblegum, white caramel, rock sugar, vanilla cream. Reminds me of candy, hard candy. Takes me back when I was like, you know, put a 5 cent in and comes down hard candy or even bubblegum, like a fruity bubblegum. That's what it reminds me of. It's very playful, fun, and just childlike to me. But this is Vanilla Candy Rock Sugar 42 from the house of KLE. And the last fragrance that reminds me of a sweet treat or dessert is caramel popcorn from the house of Oud. What About Pop? Are you familiar with this one? This, to me, I can't believe how authentic it smells. It smells like popcorn drizzled with caramel, salty, sweet, crunchy, delicious. So it's basically whipped cream, vanilla, caramel, popcorn, benzoin, ebony, musk, hawthorn, ambergris, and vetiver. Let me know if you're familiar with this. I've recommended this one quite a bit. What About Pop? So cozy. Popcorn's one of my favorite things to eat. It's a favorite, not a dessert, just a snack. In fact, I love it at movies, in the theater, or perhaps at home. But man, this is like caramel popcorn. I'm not the biggest fan of caramel popcorn to eat. I'll have it once in a while. For me, it's all about popcorn. But to me, this smells like the real thing. This is the House of Oud's What About Pop? And it reminds me of caramel popcorn. And that's the last fragrance for you guys. 20 fragrances that remind me of desserts or sweet treats. Let me know if you're familiar with these fragrances and do they remind you of those sweet treats I mentioned. Also, let me know other fragrances that you wear that I've never spoken about or have spoken about, forgotten about, that are, you know, fragrances that remind you of a sweet treat or a dessert. Put a comment down below so I can find out. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.